Reacting to your hail photos that hit eastern KELOLAND last night, and a breast cancer patient encourages mammograms. Plus, the South Dakota special session. It's upcoming, what you need to know, and a victim claiming a tree has more protections than he does. This is Inside the Newsroom, and I'm your host, Maddie Paul. Inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area, and best of all, we bring in our newsroom staff members to talk about these stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. So you heard the tease about what you're going to see today on Inside the Newsroom. But to start off with one of our trending stories, a victim is calling for more extensive hate crime laws in South Dakota after an incident from last week. This is actually a developing story that our digital reporter Michael Dorn has been following. And Michael, I want to start off by asking, what kind of updates do we have to your news story from yesterday compared to the story that you made earlier the day before?
Yeah, so I actually did get a chance here to speak with the victim yesterday. I talked a little bit about what happened that night from his perspective, everything that really went down that night.
Right, because before in the story, you got to talk to the man that was arrested and then also police, right? So the newest part was hearing from the victim. And what did you learn from that side of the story? Yeah,
well, he very much described his side of the story here, saying he was woken up in the middle of the night at around 11:30 to the man that was arrested yelling outside of his home, saying all kinds of derogatory slurs. He then called police. He was then arrested. But yeah, he basically detailed the story from his perspective there, saying that he has never really spoken to the guy, has not really had a whole lot of interaction with him. He knows he's his neighbor, but hasn't had a whole lot of interaction between the two.
Okay. And, you know, your headline is pretty striking. You know, victim, tree has more protections than I do. I just find it very striking. So why did you choose this headline?
Yeah, so he had a very striking quote, I thought, which he was talking about when he was arrested, and he was talking about how he wanted the man who was arrested to be charged under the hate crime statute. Officers then informed him that would not apply. South Dakota's hate crime law only covers religion, ethnicity, race, those kinds of bases, and not anything such as sexual orientation, which is what occurred in this case. So nothing like that. The quote he said was, the only reason he was arrested was for damaging my property, and then he said that quote, which is, the tree has more protections than I do.
It is striking. And, you know, as you've been developing this story or being along with it as it develops, you have a lot of perspectives that go into it. You know, you've talked to the man that was charged, the victim who you spoke to in this most recent story, and again, police. So in your opinion, why is it so important to include all of these perspectives into a developing story like this?
Yeah, I think it's very important to get all the sides here. You know, it's kind of our job to paint the picture here of what really happened and get the facts straight from what these people are saying. You know, these are the only people that were there. These are really the only people that can attest to this. So getting all that reaction, getting all the sides, I think is really important.
And is there anything that stood out to you as you were creating this updated story, Michael?
I would just say, you know, I felt really good to finally get all the sides of this out there for everyone to see, so that now the whole story can kind of finally be out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming here to talk about those details, Michael. And everyone, stick around. We still got a lot to get to today on Inside the Newsroom. Coming up next, we're going to show you what you need to know about the upcoming special session vote on a proposed prison plan. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. In less than a week, South Dakota lawmakers will vote on a proposed new men's prison. Dan Santella gives us a look at how the special session could play out.
Next week's special session will begin with Governor Larry Roden addressing the House and Senate.
It's kind of setting the tone for the day. And then up in the committee hearing, there'll be a lot more detailed discussion about the plan, and that will include me and Ryan Bruner and the contractors and designers.
Bruner is a senior policy advisor to Roden. If committee members advance the new prison legislation, the House and Senate will take turns considering the bill. The proposed prison, which is slated to cost no more than $650 million, would have around 1,500 beds. The red buildings you see here are the housing units. Venhuisen says this shape in the letter T means greater efficiency and a cheaper price.
The T shape is a very common way to design housing units in modern penitentiaries. It's an efficient use of space. You don't end up with a lot of unused floor space. Still allows enough space between the units that you have room to maneuver and day room space and so forth, but gives good line of sight for correctional officers.
One of the housing units will be in a dormitory style for inmates who don't need as high of a security level.
And that was a finding that our task force made, was that looking at the population that we project to have, we could save some money by building 300 beds in more of a dorm style unit rather than the cell block unit.
In just a handful of days, we'll know if legislators want to make this proposal a reality.
Dan, this story has been months in the making. We go all the way back to February of this year, basically. So can you give us a little context about how we got to this point now?
There's been a long-term conversation in South Dakota about how to replace an aging penitentiary. And as you said, in February, there was a proposal to put a new facility in Lincoln County that died in the legislature. The bill was gutted and eventually failed to advance. After that, Governor Larry Roden announced a task force that would re-examine the issue. And that task force came up with the recommendations that are going to be deliberated and considered next week in Pierre.
Right. And, the state House and Senate will take turns considering this bill. So who goes first and why is that important?
The Senate's going to go first. Well, each side has to consider it, each chamber, right? And it has to be 2/3 support at least in each chamber for it to advance to the governor's desk. It's abundantly clear that Roden would sign the legislation during the special session. But to get those 2/3, the margins are fairly thin because there's 24 members of the Senate, 35 in the Senate, 2/3, you need at least 24 people supporting it in the Senate. And then the House is going to need at least 47 supporters of its 70 members. So it's going to be all about the numbers come Tuesday, right? That 2/3 fraction is so essential. And it is that 2/3 because this legislation appropriates money. So legislative rules mandate that you got to have that summit.
Right. Very important to know. And, Dan, you write in a way that makes complicated information sound very easy, very attainable.
That compliment. I appreciate that.
Especially when it comes to stories like the prison. Again, we're talking about context that's been months in the making and questions that have been needing answers for so long in the meantime. So as you've been, helping with this developing story as it plays out, how do you write in a way that's almost universal for viewers to understand what a proposed prison plan could be?
I think you need to break it down to the essential components. Where would this facility be? Who would be there? How much would it cost? What's it going to look like? We have the imagery, right? And just those kind of nuts and bolts. And, the whole proposed bill in Pierre is, a couple pages long. A lot of it is sort of legislative speak, right? And sometimes it takes a couple readings through of it to be like, okay, let's put this in layman's common sense, like how Joe and Jane Q. Public talk. And it really does with legislative stories. You're like, okay, wait, what is this bill doing? Okay, right, great. Okay, and this is how, you just say it in modern common parlance.
I feel like that helps, especially as we're looking at the layout for the prison and we're seeing those T buildings,
and that was key. And as you heard from Venhuisen, the lieutenant governor, he was talking about that. And that's one thing that we're able to do with how we present stories is have that really visual element. I thought photojournalist Grant Robinson did a wonderful job in highlighting that in the story yesterday.
Yeah, he did a wonderful job. And, one last question for you, Dan. As we're coming up to the special session vote, what do you think is at least one important element that you think viewers should know going into this vote next week?
I think that we have different groups in the legislature who have common ways of thinking, right? This is not a Democrat versus Republican issue. This is people who feel like it's prudent to spend upward no more than $650 million on a new facility, and lawmakers who feel that is a poor financial choice. That's not Republicans, Democrats, red and blue here at all. And I think we saw it recently in the last legislative session when the bill failed, that you're going to see people, I think, aligned that might not otherwise be aligned on other issues. You know what I mean? It's just really interesting. For Pri Puyer is a Democratic lawmaker, siding with some Republicans, at least on this issue previously, that I don't think see a lot eye to eye ideologically. On this point, they very much were. That's very interesting. And then the 2/3 fraction is just everything. It has for this to advance to Rodin's desk, it has to get that. So you're going to be hearing those numbers from me a lot in the next few days. 24 and 47. That's what they need in those respective chambers.
I've memorized it by this point now, too.
See?
It's really helping. Right. It genuinely is. Dan, thank you so much for being here at the Digital Desk. And everyone, stick around. Up next, we're talking about a breast cancer patient who shares her own story to encourage others to get mammograms of their own. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Inside the Newsroom. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Breast cancer is one of the most common cancers among women in the United States. The CDC says mammograms are the best way for women of average risk to detect breast cancer early. Kelly Vogt introduces us to a Nebraska woman who's sharing her own message about screening for breast cancer.
Christy McAprang is nearing the finish line of her chemotherapy treatments at Avera in Sioux Falls.
This is chemo round number 5. We're hoping to do 6.
This all started last year when a small spot was detected on her routine mammogram. After watching the spot closely, a biopsy revealed she had triple-negative breast cancer.
So it was caught early. It's not in my lymph nodes, and they were able to get it all out.
Triple-negative breast cancer is a more aggressive subset of breast cancer.
Dr. Allie Higgins is a breast medical oncologist with Avera.
I think it's important for women to understand that 1 in 8 women are going to get breast cancer. And of those women, about 15 to 20% will be the more aggressive triple-negative breast cancer. It's incredibly important to find these things early on screening mammograms because outcomes are improved and survival rates improve.
As McAprang continues her cancer journey, the 48-year-old has a message for others.
Mammograms are easy. They don't take very long, and nobody wants to be sitting in this chair like I am today. So get that mammogram, schedule it. It's that easy.
So, Kelly, when you were coming up with the idea to talk to Christy about this story, how did you want to approach this story? What was the angle in your head going into it?
Well, actually, the hospital system, Avera, let us know about this story. So actually, they're the ones who kind of got the ball rolling on this. But I knew when I got assigned to the story that I really wanted to give Christy the opportunity to share her story and her message to other women.
Absolutely. And, you know, after talking to her and as you were putting all of these pieces together, how do you think your interview with Christy really shaped the message of the story?
Well, Christy is the one in this case who knows what it's like to live with breast cancer and to fight the disease. So her personal experience is really what drove the story.
Absolutely. And, you know, did anything Christy say kind of stand out to you as you were writing the story?
Well, we saw it towards the end of the story you just played, and that was her simple message to people that mammograms are easy. They don't take that much time. Schedule one. So I think, you know, that message was pretty simple but powerful.
I agree. There's both urgency and hope in Christy's message for women to just screen for mammograms. So what is the recommendations to start annual mammograms?
Well, I looked at both Avera and Sanford websites, and they both said to start scheduling your annual mammograms at age 40, and that is generally for average risk women. If you think you have a higher risk, then you should talk to your doctor about when you should start screening.
Kelly, is there anything else that you'd like viewers to know about this story?
I think we covered it.
Love it. Thank you so much, Kelly. And everyone stick around. We're going to take a look at the photos that you sent us of the hail that hit KELOLAND just yesterday. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. Now, it wouldn't be Inside the Newsroom unless we ended a segment with Scott Mudd. So, hi, Scott. Welcome.
Well, yeah, nice to be back. And let's not forget about Whether or Not. That's coming up pretty soon, isn't it?
It is one of our favorite shows here on KELOLAND Plus. But before you talk about whether or not to give our viewers a little insight in what you're going to be doing, I wanted to go over some hail photos that we received from viewers from yesterday because, yes, yesterday I asked you guys to send some photos through our YouShare app on KELOLAND.com, and you did, and I'm so happy about that. So let's take a look at some of the hail that you guys captured yesterday. So to start, this one is from August in Sioux Falls, and this photo, I believe, was sent around like 7:30.
Yeah, we had thunderstorm
night.
southwestern Sioux Falls at 7:30.
And look at that hail the size of a
And it stayed
quarter.
there.
It stayed there? Mm-hmm. Look at that. When's the last time you saw a quarter-sized hail, Scott?
Well, that's next to a dime.
Is that a dime? I thought it was a quarter. Oh my gosh. That actually ages me so well. When's the last time you've seen a
dime?
Yeah, like actual physical money in your life? That's a dime. My bad. It looks big. That's why I was like, oh, it's a quarter.
Dime-size hail, southwest Sioux Falls at 7:30. And the storm lasted like a half hour.
Oh, did it?
Yep, I was on the east side of town watching it. A lot of lightning with it. And then much like what we had around 5:30, right over Joe Foss Field, right over the airport
so you're
in Sioux
outside.
Falls. We had a thunderstorm develop, did its thing, dropped its rain, dropped its small dime-size hail,
Yeah.
and then it was done. There wasn't much movement to it. And the same thing happened in the southwestern side of town, too. And the rainfall amounts coming in around 2.5 inches.
Wow.
So they had some flash flooding. We had a flash flood warning that came out with it, too.
This photo came in from Andrew, and this says it's on the west side of Sioux Falls. Look at all that hail. Maybe not quarter-sized. I'm sure that was the dime-sized, too.
We just say spare change hail.
Yeah,
How
the
about
spare
that?
change, the physical money that Maddie clearly doesn't know anything about. This was also in Sioux Falls, I believe. Doesn't really give any location date, but that's okay. But look at this one.
Probably southwestern side of town again.
Right in the palm of your hand. You don't think that would be a quarter?
I don't know.
Dimes.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I'm going to be stuck on that all day now. Maddie literally doesn't know. Spare change. Spare change, please.
Yeah, so we had those develop, and that's just a sign of, that can happen this afternoon, this evening, that we can have these individual thunderstorms develop, might be able to get some small hail with them, and locally heavy rainfall. We had that earlier this morning in northeastern South Dakota as well. Esteline was the area that had some heavy rain, 2 to 3 inches of rain there.
Wow.
Led to some flash flooding.
Yikes. Are you talking about these topics on Whether or Not, Scott?
We talk about the two storms that made its way to Sioux Falls, the difference between using our Beersford radar and the National Weather Service radar in Sioux Falls, and we kind of do compare and contrast of those two cells, one right over the airport and the other one on the southwestern side of the city. So some interesting stuff, and I was helping people out with looking at the app with that too. And you have to keep in mind if the storm develops right above the radar, can't see it. And that's what we had at 5:30. So I kind of explained that coming up on Whether or Not. And, of course, a slow-moving, low-pressure system. I talk about that. And you know what I end with?
I don't want to say it.
Okay. Well, then don't.
I'll say it.
Don't end with the fun stuff.
Well, fun to who? Not me.
Not you. Okay.
Well, it's kind of fun. You
Fun
make
to
it
not
fun,
you.
Scott. Scott, you make it fun. Okay.
So, yeah, we talk about our snow trend. I'll go ahead and say it. Talk about snow trend. And I throw in the 90-day fog theory with that and the pattern we were in during the summertime.
Ooh.
So we have a couple of interesting things to watch. And I have, things in my notebook, and I put them in, in Excel to help kind of keep things organized.
Oh, very on top of things, Scott. That's what I like to hear. I'm a Virgo, so you have to be organized if you're a Virgo.
Okay.
Have you heard of this before?
No. Well,
Astrology?
maybe I have. Probably one of the first segment we were on together. And you
We
lost
talked
me.
about
And you lost me.
astrology.
Yeah.
When's your birthday?
February 17.
So
Aquarius.
You're Aquarius. I can see it.
Yeah, I have no idea what that means, though.
It means you're really good at making turtle faces. Wouldn't you know?
No, we're not going to do that now.
Not here.
No, but my graphic has a low pressure system on a turtle's back.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, see, it all comes together. Is that like your favorite animal or something now?
No.
It has to be. It just seems so, it's so you, Scott.
Puppies, dogs.
Puppies? Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, that's an easy answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Scott, thank you so much for being here at the Digital Desk.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. And everyone, make sure you watch Whether or Not. That airs Mondays through Fridays at 1:30 only on KELOLAND Plus. But the best part is you can watch it at any time. So if you miss it at that 1:30 mark, no worries. Just look for the section called KELOLAND Plus Original Shows on KELOLAND Plus, and then you'll be able to watch it at anytime. Just look for Whether or Not. And this wraps up Inside the Newsroom. So thank you so much for watching today. Come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, or anytime after 1 o'clock, and you can watch the next episode of Inside the Newsroom. Until then, have a great day, everyone.